Hi, everyone. This is Whitney. I am a North Carolina virtual school counselor for elementary and middle school. And I'm going to share with you today a few tips I have learned being a virtual school counselor. I was 2 years in a brick and mortar elementary school, and this is my second year as a virtual school counselor, so fourth year overall. And I do have a few tips that I have found transitioning from brick and mortar to virtual that I hope you'll find helpful during this kind of crazy time. So, I'm going to skip down in this PowerPoint to a typical day in the life for me and what you can maybe expect. I know our school is set up to operate this way, so it will be different than what your district has set up for you, but you can probably expect some similarities. And I hope yeah, this is helpful for you to see. So I like every day check emails, my calendar, I prep and upload my small groups, individual assemblies or guidance lessons for the day. I like to have my classroom, my virtual classroom set up. So when it's time, I'm ready to go. And when my kids enter the room, I'm ready to start communicating with them. Um, and I teach those groups. I follow up with any new family referrals that teachers have sent my way or parents have contacted me for, and follow up with families that need support. I have time to plan typically in my days, which is wonderful, and attend any staff or committee meetings for my school. And my biggest tips here that I kind of wish I'd known when I had just transitioned to virtual schooling, but have found out are here. I always use a webcam for my lessons and sessions, and I make sure to be innovative with my voice, act like I'm excited, smile, use my hands. You don't have to be crazy, but just something, and that keeps the kids engaged. They love seeing you on the webcam, and even if you feel like you just don't look your best that day, they just like to see you. They could care less what you look like. This next one is really fun to do. Cold calling families you already work closely with or know may be struggling. The elementary kiddos especially love getting called, and they get very excited and think it's just so neat that you thought of them and took the time to call them. And I know many school counselors are worried about the amount of counseling that they will get to do for some of their students, and you might not get to counsel them in the same way that you were in the brick and mortar school just because this is such a big transition. But even if you just call them and check in and say, hey, how are you doing? I'm thinking about you. I care about you. I cannot wait to see you again. I hope you're doing well, type of things, that will work. I do successfully counsel children virtually, but if that is not something that's in your comfort level, that is okay during this time. At least communicating with those families is great. And you also want to communicate clear expectations of what is required to students. That is just for school level overall. If they are expected to attend a lesson, make sure that they know that and they know it's not an optional thing. Document preferred ways of communication for families so you can get hold of them quickly when needed. That is wonderful. It's one of the first things I ask when I talk to a family for the first time. What's the easiest way to get in contact with you? What's the most convenient way? Email, phone call, or text? And text has been a huge one that I just started this year through Google Voice. And our families respond very quickly through text. I always call first because it's just nice to hear each other's voice. And that's my preferred way personally. But when you can't get a hold of them because they're at work, they respond through text, and that's next best before email, I believe. Email is great for mass communication, but for personal connections, I highly recommend calling first, then texting. Next is encouraging families to set up a daily routine and at-home workspace for doing schoolwork. A lot of your work now will be working directly with parents to help them figure out the best learning environment for their child and managing behaviors, managing the structure, getting them motivated, and working with that. So taking this time to have some resources ready for those parents will be helpful to set you up for success there. And last is always encourage families to stay active, encourage them to be getting walks, fresh air, work on school outside. Now that kids are home and in this environment, which is new for many of them, and not by choice for a lot of them, unfortunately, due to everything, we want to remind them to be active. Many of our kids need that activity, and they might see behaviors come out at home because their student isn't getting the same social interaction or same activity level that they were before. So encouraging that can be really helpful for them. And right here, we do everything just like a regular brick and mortar school. We have student referrals, we have community resources ready. I do offer individual counseling and group counseling, guidance lessons, We do schedule students and planning for scheduling classes, and always keep in mind confidentiality, even in virtual settings. It's a different thing to keep in mind, but you always want to communicate with a parent prior to sessions and counseling the expectations we have regarding that, and make sure they have a clear understanding of that. So that is all for me, all my big tips. I hope that is helpful. You're going to do great, and thank you so much for listening to me.